Hi everyone, thank you again for joining us. We're continuing our Guide Talk webinar series with more about virtual events, and we're excited that you're with us today. For those of you joining us for the first time, welcome. And for those of you who are back for another Guide Talk, welcome back. I'm Danielle and I'm a Client Success Manager at Guidebook. Throughout my time at Guidebook, I've worked with many clients with different events and use cases to help them make the most out of their Guidebook app. I'm currently working with a number of clients who have transitioned their events to virtual, so I'm excited to show you how Guidebook can support that change in format. I'm really looking forward to today's webinar, and I hope that you're able to walk away with key takeaways and ideas for what you can do for your event, as well as see firsthand how Guidebook can enhance your virtual event. Joining me today are my colleagues, Candice, a Senior Customer Success Associate, Mackenzie, our Senior Account Manager, and Jack, our Manager of Client Success and Growth. I'll hand this over to them now so that they can introduce themselves.
Hi everyone, this is Candice. I'm a Senior Customer Success Associate at Guidebook. I've been with Guidebook for 2 years, and previously I built guides at in higher education.
Hey everyone, my name is Mackenzie. I work in our Raleigh, North Carolina office, and I've been at Guidebook a little over 2.5 years. As a senior account manager, I support a handful of our enterprise clients that range from large pharmaceutical companies to Fortune 500 tech companies. I truly enjoy helping clients adopt mobile, as well as helping them develop creative strategies for company-wide mobile expansion across various departments and truly just any company need. So I just want to say thanks to everyone for joining the webinar today. I'm looking forward to answering some questions during the live Q&A.
Hey everybody, this is Jack. I'm based in our London office, and as Danielle said, I'm the Manager of Client Success and Growth. I've been in at Guidebook for very close to 3 years, and since that time, I've been an account manager and now manage a team of 3 people. In my time here, I've worked with a variety of different clients. And especially at the moment, we're having to work with them to adapt and look at things slightly differently. So I hope that we can share some of those learnings with you today. And I'll be answering the questions with Mackenzie towards the end.
Today's Guide Talk is going to be split into 2 sections. I'll be going over some of the fundamentals about why a mobile app is a critical component of your event and how it ties into enhancing the virtual event experience. And Candice will go over the product demo. After the demo, we will close with Q&A hosted by Mackenzie, Jack, and I. If you have any questions during this webinar, please use the chat feature located at the bottom of the screen. We'll compile your questions and respond to them during the Q&A. We know you've got a lot to think about as you transition from physical to virtual events during this unpredictable time. From the tools you use to the new format of your schedule, every detail has to be adjusted as we shift to a more virtual way of life. Video streaming is a must for your event, but it's also just the start. In this session, we'll address why mobile is a critical component of virtual events and how you can create more engaging virtual experiences beyond the web. First and foremost, providing a mobile app for an event gives attendees an invaluable, accessible resource. As more events move to virtual platforms, mobile apps play an important role in delivering information, driving engagement, and fostering connections through networking tools. Mobile is the place to boost engagement by utilizing a range of features such as live polls, surveys, networking tools, and discussion feeds. One of the most important things you need to do for any event, virtual or physical, is to make sure that your attendees have easy access to all of the information. Whether it's information about the agenda, speakers, sponsors, or access to PDFs and content, it's important to provide them with a central place to find all of the information. While this is information that you can certainly host on your event website or online or send through email, the reality is that attendees want this information fast and they want to be able to access it without having to search through countless emails. This is where a mobile app plays a huge role in your virtual event. Compiling all of this into a mobile app where users can access information before, during, and after the event makes it easy for attendees to find information that you've provided without worrying about where to look. Having a mobile app helps to extend the length of your event, as you can engage attendees and share content in advance and following the event itself. On the screen here, you'll see a few screenshots of how you can make the app your central place for information. On the left-hand side, you'll see a screenshot of the schedule. In the middle, you'll see a screenshot of the session with speaker, webpage, and surveys attached at the bottom. And the final screenshot shows you a speaker list. One of the most common questions we receive from our clients is, what can a mobile app do for my virtual event that a website can't? And what's one of the biggest differences between how we set up an in-person event versus a virtual event? The answer to this is simple. When you transition your event from in-person to virtual, you lose out on all of the in-person engagement and networking opportunities that your attendees get to experience at your event. A mobile app is a great solution for this gap because it provides you with a form of engagement that most people are familiar with. 87% of mobile time is spent within apps, and mobile is likely to be the biggest distraction for users attending your virtual event. Using an app allows you to fight this distraction. Without an app, you're missing out on a key opportunity to boost engagement. Candice will be joining us now to run through the product demo. Candice will discuss some of the ways that a mobile app can create an engaging experience for your attendees, even from the confines of their own home.
Thanks, Danielle. Hi, everyone. It's Candice again, and I'm going to share some insight into how Guidebook works from an admin and end user perspective, and most importantly, how you can successfully use mobile to engage your audience throughout a virtual event. At Guidebook, we have experience supporting clients with virtual events for 9 years. Due to our wealth of experience, we are confident that Guidebook has the key features that you will need to boost engagement and support your virtual event, which I will demonstrate to you shortly. If you have any questions throughout the demo, please submit your question in the chat feature. For a more personalized demo, please reach out to us and we will be delighted to put some time on the calendar with you and your team. We'll be sharing an email at the end. I am now transitioning to the demo. Give me one moment. You'll see here on my screen, I have a simulator to show you how the app looks for the user, and also Builder, the software used to create your apps on the back end. In this demo, we'll take a look at the key engagement features you should be using that will keep your users coming back for more. Before jumping into Builder, I first wanted to show you how users can access your mobile app. Cover Pages is our web offering designed to complement and drive downloads to your mobile guide. They provide a rich interactive experience while accurately displaying your guide's published data. All cover pages will contain the guide's general information section, which includes your custom guide branding, the guide description, location, dates, and text. You can pick and choose what additional content from your guide is shared on your cover page. For example, you can disable or enable your schedule, speakers list, and other various custom lists. You can use the call to action button to add a link to a virtual conferencing tool so that users can join quickly and easily. If you choose to have your schedule appear on your cover page, users can access virtual meeting links within the description in just a click of a button. Here's an example of a Zoom meeting link shared in the session description accessed from a cover page. Lastly, at the bottom of every cover page, you will have a download section that makes it very easy for your attendees to download the mobile version of your guide. This links your users to the app on the Apple App Store or Google Play Store, and they can enter their phone number to text a URL directly to them to download. Moving away from the cover page feature, you will see Builder once again on my screen here. Those of you who have used Guidebook before will recognize this area as where you build your apps. For those of you who are seeing this for the first time, this is the back end where you will create your custom apps and select which features you would like to implement. You don't need any prior experience of building an app to use Builder. You simply click to add a particular feature you'd like to implement, add your information easily, and then drag and drop each of your features within the menu list. Our networking and engagement features become increasingly important in a virtual event to allow your attendees to have the same opportunities they would have at an in-person event. So I'd like to begin by showing you what they are and how they work. The Interact feature provides a dynamic feed of upcoming schedule sessions, announcements, comments, and photos from fellow users. It is a powerful tool to augment networking and to extend dialogue beyond the physical walls of a room. This is a fantastic feature which helps to create a community feel for your virtual event. Users can post to the Interact feed, like or comment on someone else's post. You can see who has engaged with your own posts, like this example here. When you have the Connect feature module enabled in your guide, users can check in and see who else has checked in. The Connect feature allows users to connect with each other and chat if they would like to. You can see here, I can view a full list of names of users who have checked into this guide. Chatting in the app is helpful so users can communicate without having to share phone numbers, email addresses, or other personal information. This feature is vital to virtual events as it allows your attendees to network and communicate with others as they would at an in-person event. These networking options become even more valuable for attendees as they can be used before, during, or after the event. Navigating back to the Interact feed, you will see certain sessions appear here based on popularity, whether the session is happening soon, or if there's limited space in the session. Users can tap on these sessions to view more information and even add it to their personal schedule. You can also include a link to your screen sharing option within the session itself, as you can see here. You'll see users also have a discussion area for this specific session. All posts and interaction here is also visible for all attendees to view and engage via the Interact feed. If you add a photo album to your guide and allow user uploads, users can add pictures within the photo album feature or via the Interact feed. Popular photos that have been added to your guide's photo album will also appear in Interact. You can even add an injection of fun from afar by creating competitions, such as the user with the most liked photo winning a prize. For more gamification options, you can reach out to the support team who can build a QR code scavenger hunt. Users will be able to scan QR codes with the content shared to reveal a phrase or image. These are fantastic examples of how you can combat the main distraction of mobile and actually use mobile to increase engagement throughout your event. We recognize that you may already have a social media presence and rely on services like Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and other platforms to engage your users. Feel free to link your guide to your existing social media tools as well. Instagram here is a great example of adding additional social media options through our web view feature. You can easily edit the icon and name to fit your needs. Transitioning now to the main dashboard in Builder. I will show you guys notifications. Notifications you send, push or inbox, will also appear in the Interact feed. Here's an example of one that I sent earlier today, and you can see it here on the Interact feed. Notifications can be commented on and liked by users via the Interact feed. Push notifications are key for welcoming attendees, giving up-to-date and last-minute information, and even reminding users to take action. For example, filling out your feedback survey. Users will be able to see these push notifications even when they do not have the app open on their device. So they are a brilliant way to share key information. We know all attendees are never too far from their mobile phone. You can even link the push notification to a specific area within the app. As Danielle mentioned, utilizing live polls is extremely important. At the bottom of the dashboard here, you can see surveys and polls. Here's an example of a live poll. You can even invite a speaker to create and edit the live poll for their session. On my simulator here, I have an open live poll. As it loads, here you go. I have an open live poll, and you will see that users can simply open the live poll and vote. We all know that it can be easy to be distracted when we work from home, but features such as live poll will keep your users engaged throughout your sessions. You may have noticed that there's also the ability to make surveys. We understand that a lot of you joining us today may be running virtual events for the first time. Surveys are vital for collecting feedback from your attendees. You can create them easily from the dashboard and have the option to feature lots of different question types. For example, branch questions, multiple choice, checkbox, sliding scale, or free text. You can see a few of these question types on my simulator here. You can choose to have your survey visible on the menu list like I do, or you can actually create surveys for a specific session too. If you would like to link to another survey you may use externally online, you can simply link to a URL, which will open in an iframe. The final area I wanted to show you is our metrics page. Our metrics allows you to measure the engagement you have. In a virtual event, metrics and data become even more important. You will be able to see a range of metrics, such as how many downloads of the app you have, how much time has been spent in the app, and even more granular data, such as the most clicked on items and sessions. We have it split into 3 sections: trends, insights, and engagement. You can also see how users have networked and engaged within the app. There is a lot of data within the metrics that you can review, analyze, and export. This is invaluable data for your virtual event and an essential way to ensure that you have met the goals of your event. I'm going to transition now back to our presentation. I hope you found this short demo helpful. For a more tailored demo to suit your specific needs and event, please do reach out to us via the email that we share. For now, I'll hand it back over to Danielle for the Q&A.
Thank you, Candice. And thank you to everyone who submitted a question. We're going to open our Q&A now, so I shall invite Mackenzie and Jack back now. I'll be asking them the questions that you guys have submitted. Are you both ready?
Yes.
Yep.
Hey guys.
Perfect. Mackenzie, my first question is for you. Are the features available in the app and online on a computer?
Yeah, good question. So as Candice demoed in the cover page section, so you've got a choice of adding the schedule and the different sessions that are tied to your master schedule into what we call the cover page, as well as picking and choosing from certain custom list items. And so we've really tried to tie cover pages into the mobile app. There aren't a lot of features that you're going to have to necessarily build out specific to the cover page. So it's very in line with what you guys have already built on the guide side of things. What we're trying to emphasize is that, in-app is going to allow your users to really engage one-to-one on their mobile device, which a lot of us are going to have on us more so than the desktop version. But right now we're trying to iterate our current cover page offering. So as it currently sits, we've got that schedule session, breakout, as well as the custom list that Candace demonstrated.
Awesome. And the second question is for you, Jack. Will the developers include the ability to customize the desktop version during the next round of updates? This is important to my staff as we switch to virtual events. They prefer to access the desktop app since they're at their computer. We would love to brand the desktop version with colors, fonts, etc.
Yeah, good question. We're getting a lot of questions about the web offering and cover pages. It is customizable to show your schedule or a specific schedule track, various custom lists. The cover page uses your guide branding. So whichever image and cover image and guide icon you use in your guide, it will pull through to the cover page. We don't have the ability to change fonts or colors other than what I mentioned. But what I would say is any of this kind of feedback, make sure you share it with your account manager, because then we can pass it through. We are working on the web version though, obviously because of the need for virtual.
Mackenzie, can the cover page be embedded within an already established website?
Yep, good question. So the cover page is simply just a URL link. So you can attach that to an already established website or simply plug it into maybe an email thread that you guys are sending out to get people onboarded and downloading the application. So kind of as Candace showed the cover page, I think she's got it on the screen right now, you can copy and paste that URL at the top into really whatever kind of platform you've got already built.
Awesome. Jack, what distinct new features or functions have been added to better support virtual events?
Yeah, this is a good question. Being agile and working in technology obviously means that you can always update and iterate your product, but moving fast is tough, especially when you want to make sure you're doing the right things. We are adding and have added things to the cover page, and also we're adding things to the mobile app as well. So in terms of cover pages, we have added additional improvements, including updates to the schedule and increasing the number of custom lists that you can add to the cover page. We're also working on adding video into cover pages as well as chat, so that you can use the web version more alongside the mobile version. If you are, joining a Zoom or another video conferencing software, and you want to have the information open on your laptop rather than on your mobile device. When you're thinking about virtual events, make sure that you're not falling into the trap of trying to find one tool or one solution that does everything, because I highly doubt that you'll find one. And we're having to use different platforms such as Zoom, such as mobile apps, learning environments, those kinds of things to support a virtual event. So you're going to have multiple tools, and try and find one or many is what I'm trying to say, that marry together and work together, so that you have a long term of communication, not just a finite time through a video link, and you have time that you can share information, and also so that your attendees and users can communicate and network with each other.
And Mackenzie, is the drop-down option new? I've not seen that before, where you can bundle content under an organization tree.
Yeah, it's a good question. So I think that question's referring to the folders. So that's just a feature that you can add through the guide editor on the back end that Candace was demoing. That's simply just creating a folder and dropping the different content or pieces of assets that you want tied into it. I think this is actually a great opportunity to consolidate the menu and make it a little bit easier on your users. When they download the guide, you're not scrolling, multiple scrolls to the very bottom to get to a specific feature. When we folder it and consolidate and similar items, it makes it a little bit easier on the end user.
And Jack, can certain sessions within the event be limited to specific users while the rest are open to all?
Yeah, this is a great question, and definitely one I've had before. So we don't have the ability to have gated content, so a partition of content that's behind a password. You can get around this depending on your use case. So you could have an additional guide, for example, for a certain group of people, or you could stagger your release, and you could release initially with a password and share that with a particular section of your user group, and then remove the password and make your guide public, or even share the password with extended users. So there is a way around it, but a great request and definitely one that we've had before and is on our radar.
And Mackenzie, the next question's for you. Is it possible to limit access to registered members? I attended a virtual conference that used a different app. To access the link for a session, I had to log into the app, which then sent me a verification code that I needed to enter.
Yes, this is a great question. So there's a couple ways you can approach going about this, and I highly recommend using one of our privacy settings instead of pushing out a public guide, which some clients do for other reasons, but pushing out a guide that maybe is passphrase protected or invite only enables you to control who is downloading your guide. So you kind of have a grasp on maybe those registered members, or if it's an internal event, you got to read on who has that passphrase. So depending on how it's set up, you can go about maybe even setting up what we call preset schedules. So it sounds like this question is tailored to maybe people registering for specific sessions or breakout groups. So if you've got like a set number of individuals attending your event, you can go in on the back end and pre-assign what events that they're going to see in their My Schedule module when they download it. And so this is all tied to things that maybe they've registered for in advance to downloading the guide. And it kind of gives you the ability to customize the event experience for the end user when they download it.
Awesome. And coming back to you, Jack, are all these features available online for those without a smartphone?
Yeah, it's a good question. The critical information of the schedule and custom list are available on the cover pages. As mentioned, some of the features are being worked on for the cover page to add more and more functionality. But we are a mobile first platform. So, the majority of our information will be on the mobile, but we are extending our features on the cover page on the web version.
Brilliant. And sticking with you, Jack, are there best practices available for utilising an app with a presentation or event platform like on On24? How can we ensure attendees understand the difference or importance between the app and the virtual event page?
Yeah, this is a great question. You should always think about how you're going to differentiate the different tools that you use. We have some support articles and blog posts available for you to view that discuss those best practices. Definitely work with your account manager to help you craft that communication to your users. You basically need to think about how you're adding value, and think about the apps that you use on a day-to-day basis, or the tools that you've used as a user, and what you've found really good about those, and what have maybe brought you back to looking at using them yourself. And try and put yourself in the shoes of your user. Think about why you think they would find value in your app, and where they would find value in your presentation or event platform. You need to work out what is different in those, and also why they're coming to your event. So are they coming just to get information from you, or are they coming to network, or are they coming to do both? If you have a great platform for your presentation, but not for your communication or networking, then you probably need a separate tool and use both together. And you could share your presentation with the presentation software, and then you could share it again with the app afterwards, but use your app for the communication side. So that's what you need to think about, is where your strengths are, and also what your user is looking for, and what value they want from the tools that you use.
Great. And Mackenzie, does all of this look the same in desktop? Most of our users will be on desktop instead of mobile this year with a virtual event.
Yeah, this is a great question, and one I'm currently working with a lot of my clients on to kind of conceptualize and figure out like what value add our cover pages provide to them today. And as Jack mentioned, our product team is currently iterating our cover page offering as it stands. And so to be honest, I would definitely keep your eyes peeled in the next couple months to see what updates we do push out to cover pages, because I do feel cover pages will be a pretty big value add to a lot of our clients that are going virtual, or even thinking about doing these hybrid events in the coming months and quarters to come.
Brilliant. And another question for you, Mackenzie. We have vendors. Can we link a video to a vendor's information on the app?
Yep. So linking a video to maybe a vendor's information page or really anything, you'll want to enable what we call the web view. And so this is actually a really powerful way to segment into other websites that might not necessarily be tied into Guidebook. So this will enable your users to access another third-party site. So whether it's a vendor site or maybe a LinkedIn page, simply by embedding the URL to that site and hitting save, and that will enable your end user to access that web page.
Great. And Jack, another question for you. Are there specific things to do or not do if it's a blended event, virtual and in person, as compared to 100% virtual?
Yeah, this is definitely something that we're getting asked as things change moving forward, and hybrid events are becoming more popular. You need to make sure that you are catering to both audiences to make sure that both feel like they're part of the community. So I'd encourage you to use engagement features like interact, connect, and photo albums to make the physical attendees feel like they are part of the community, as well as those who aren't there in person. I'd also encourage you to have meetings that include the people, again, who are there and who aren't. So making sure that you have links set up in all of your different sections of the guide to make sure it's easy to find video links or even the room if you're in person. We're going to be learning about hybrid events as we go. So make sure that you're both asking us what we've heard, and also sharing your learnings as you go through, because we're always open to learning more about hybrid events and what you think is good and what you find works. So make sure you're in active communication with your account manager.
Hey.
Mackenzie, how do you activate the discussion and tools tabs on the event as was seen in the demo?
Yeah, so the discussion tab is powered by the Interact feed. So if you have the Interact feed enabled for your guide, the discussion will be enabled on the back end and as well as the front end. So the tools tab is a little bit different. That is specifically tied for the guide admins, and that's what they will see. So depending on what you're trying to do and put together, that's kind of how you'll want to enable the discussions tab. So I know some groups on my end don't necessarily have the Interact feed enabled, so they don't get to take advantage of the discussions tab that is tied to individual sessions. So that might be something to think about or test out internally to see if you like how the look and feel and how it enables your users to kind of have a cultivated conversation as it relates to individual sessions.
Perfect. And another question for you, Mackenzie. Can a participant access their personal QR code via the desktop or online version?
I like this question a lot. Not at the moment, but this is something that our product team is currently thinking about. So I will definitely pass on that request to our product team after the webinar.
Brilliant. And Jack, is the cover page something that's already in our subscription, or will we need to pay for this separately?
Yeah, great question. The cover page is completely included. It auto-populates from the content in your guide. You just need to tell it what to auto-populate, if that makes sense. But yeah, on the guide dashboard, you can access your cover page, and there's a URL there for you, pre-made already.
Perfect. And Jack, is the cover page able to be made private like the guide? Can we password protect Guidebook, or does whomever has the mobile download or web version app have access?
Yeah, at the moment our cover pages are completely public, although the person would need the specific URL to view it. Our product team is working on adding the password privacy setting as an option on cover pages. And just to confirm, on the guide or the mobile app, these can be public, passphrase protected, or invite only. So that stays the same. You can still have those privacy settings on your guide, and the privacy settings will be coming to cover pages shortly.
Brilliant. Mackenzie, how often can you send push notifications? I noticed 25 is the limit. Is that per day?
Yep, so I actually get this question a lot. So that 25 limit's really just a placeholder, and that's something in our 9 years of business that we've seen has kind of been like the average for a week-long event. We're happy to push that out to as many push notifications as you want. You'll just need to reach out to your account manager or support team to extend the limit. But great question. You can absolutely send as many as you need.
Brilliant. And Jack, it was my understanding that Guidebook had stopped developing enhancements for the desktop version and is focused on cover pages. Hope that has changed.
Yeah, so we basically are moving our desktop version to cover pages, and that's what it's going to be called now. We're working on the enhancement to this that we've mentioned before, and we won't be working on our previous web version that you may have used, because cover pages is basically the replacement for that. It both works as a promotional tool and a web version, and as we add these new features in, it will be more conclusive.
Awesome. We have a few more questions here. Mackenzie, coming back to you, can you set a maximum capacity for each session?
Yeah, so you can definitely set a seat limit capacity on individual sessions. This does actually require your user to log in order to claim their spot. Another feature that I would highly recommend looking into is if you were to set a seat limit, you can also enable what we call a wait list. So this will enable you to have users claim their spots, kind of drive urgency and excitement to make sure they can get a spot. If they don't, they'll get added to what we call a wait list. And will be added to that session if someone were to remove it and fill that spot after the fact.
Brilliant. Jack, will there be any new features regarding video specifically?
Yeah, you'll be able to include video with specific sessions on the cover page. So your users will be able to access video links right from there and watch them within that page. So that should make it really nice and easy for them to know what session is applied to what video link, or the other way around.
Brilliant. And Mackenzie, another question about cover pages. Is cover page on the desktop version different from cover page in the app?
Yep, so just to make it as simple and plain and white as possible, is cover pages is the desktop version of the mobile app. So that's directly tied to what guide you're building. So each guide, so if you had multiple guides, each of those guides would have an individual cover page that is directly correlated to the content that you've got baked in the back end of the guide.
Brilliant. And Jack, before the event starts, are you able to send polls or a survey to attendees to gather information?
Absolutely. You can make use of Guidebook's inbuilt survey tool prior to your event, as well as polls. You can also embed third-party suppliers of surveys if you use those already and want to make sure your information is the same. You can send those surveys out with push notifications so that you're linking them to a notification that comes up on the screen of the device and makes it super easy for your users to fill out their information. You can have multiple surveys. They can have one question to lots of different questions, and the inbuilt survey tool of Guidebook has lots of different options for those questions. We see a much higher feedback response rate from mobile because it's nice and easy to fill out. and you can tie those specifically to a menu item, a schedule item, or a custom list item. So if you want the survey to be specific to something, you can make it specific to whatever you like within the guide.
Awesome. And Mackenzie, how is the Interact feed different from the chat feed?
Yep, great question, and one I actually get a lot as well. So the Interact feed is going to pull all sorts of content onto what I would call like a consolidated wall or a conference wall. So that could include anything from maybe upcoming sessions, the individual sessions discussions that we mentioned, sponsored posts, photos, maybe web links or what have you. And then in contrary, so the chat is really just kind of like a one-to-one messaging tool that your users can leverage to engage with other attendees. And so that chat feed will actually be on the cover page with similar discussion parts in the app now.
Brilliant. I think we're coming towards the end of our questions now. So if anybody does have any last minute questions that they'd like to ask, please do send them in now. Jack, I have a final one for you. Are you planning to add roles or groups to the app so that you can offer targeted polls to specific groups?
Yeah, this is a great question. If you'd like to target specific groups, I'd suggest having a preset schedule session so that those users have that preloaded into their schedule, and the link within that schedule item goes to the poll. That's a bit of a workaround, but it's definitely a way that you keep that poll private to a certain group of users.
Brilliant. And Mackenzie, can you have participants answer a real-time survey on the app and show the real-time responses on your screen on Zoom?
So right now you could enable what we call maybe a live poll. I don't know if this question's directly tied into Zoom, like the chat system that we're using right now. My recommendation and something my clients have done is they've actually enabled a live poll in line with their Zoom meeting. And so they can kind of have users engaged on their mobile and also have their desktop open, listening and paying attention and maybe taking notes as regards to the session.
Brilliant. Is it, Jack, one for you? Is it possible to schedule publishing that new version? What's the best way to do that? What if we need to make updates to the pre-existing content in the meantime?
Yeah, so you can time releases with notifications. So you can preset those and schedule them to go out when you need. You can also work on information in the back end on disabled menu items. So you can have that completely visible to you in the back end and see all that information, but it won't be visible to your user in the front end if you have the menu item disabled. That means that you can preload all the content and make sure it's all there so that you don't have to do that just before you release it. And then once the, I guess the schedule session is complete, you can then publish, you can enable the session and publish the change, which means that then that content will be available. We've had a couple of questions on this as well. So just like pre-release, pre-recorded presenter videos. So if you have those videos but you want them to go live at a certain time, you do have to publish at that time manually, but you can preload the content. So you don't have to load the content up and then publish the change. You can have it all preloaded in the back end and disabled. And then once you enable those items and publish, the content will go live straight away. I've kind of guessed at a couple of those questions, so I hope that I've done that right. If you do have further questions on those, please just either write them in or get in contact with us.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Jack. And I think that was the last question we had. So we're going to stop there. And of course, we'll be following up with more information about everything we've spoken about today. You'll see some contact details on the slide here. Please do get in touch if you would like to have a more personalized demo or conversation or have any further questions that we can help with. I hope that this session has been really informative for you, and thank you so much for joining us today, and enjoy the rest of your day.